You could collect your thoughts while you're looking at it. And then,
All good. All
were
good.
you able to see the resume design principles, Ibrahim?
I was not. Was that shared to me?
Oh, always. I mean, if you're part of the LinkedIn group, that's the baseline. So, okay. Without privy to that information, Ruthwick just joined us. I'm going to ask Ruthwick for any feedback on the first impression for Shubham's resume.
It looks good, Benny.
What does looks good mean?
I mean, there are numbers mentioned, I mean, numericals mentioned in experience, and
Very
also
good.
there is some
Why
career
are
objective.
numericals important?
I mean, it shows you have done any improvement in the existing systems, or there is some, uh,
Impact is the word
yeah,
you're looking
impact,
for, right?
impact. Yeah,
Impact. You're
exactly.
showing them that you don't just know how to do stuff, you're showing them results that you can do. So let me backtrack for a second. So, what job are you applying for, Ibrahim, for example? What's the job title you desire?
Uh, right now, I'm applying for United Airlines intern, so operations intern,
Intern operations in which field specifically?
engineering,
Which engineering, man? There's all sorts of stuff.
aerospace engineering, aerospace engineering.
All right. So if I'm a hiring manager for an aerospace engineering operations guy looking for an operations intern, don't you think that I already know what you should be doing as far as tasks?
Yeah,
Yeah. So if all you're doing on a resume is talking about, I know how to do this task, I know how to do this task, I know how to do this task, actually, that's the biggest problem everybody have on their resume because that's all they write. And I'll go to my boring example, which is kind of dramatic. People like to say on the resume, I swept the floor. You're just describing the task. And then to give some sort of impact, they say I swept the floor fast versus I led a team of 5 floor sweepers, introduced a process improvement that reduced sweeping time from 60 minutes to 5 minutes. So, Ibrahim, if you were the hiring manager, who's more impressive?
oh, obviously the second one.
Exactly. So, the effect that you guys need to have on your resume is exactly that. Don't just say you swept the floor fast. And Ruthvik, when you and I were like on the floor yesterday with that
Mhm.
session, you showed me the
Yes.
resume. Are you seeing some of what I'm talking about? Where if we go to your resume, it's just saying I swept the floor fast.
Mhm. Okay.
Is it making sense? We're gonna go to yours
Yes.
shortly. So, Shubham, I kind of interrupted because people kind of like showed up later. What was the specific reason you came on board requesting a coaching
So,
session?
like, I'm applying from long time, but I don't know, it's just because of the job market right now. Some things are happening, but I'm not getting a calls from few months. So I thought let's review once my resume or see like any kind of improvement should be there or not. Apart from that, like I'm like aligning my resume as per job description. Not every, but some of them. So I wanted to know from you, like, is there anything you can see in my resume which can be improved?
No. And you're asking the wrong person the question because guess who's looking at the job descriptions? Is it Bernie Floresca?
No.
No. So Bernie Floresca is not reading the job descriptions. You are. And I heard you say that you're kind of aligning it, but I kind of heard that you weren't sure.
Yeah, like not for every job description, because if I see data analyst, most of the skills and the requirement is the same. So I will not, align it for particular data analyst post because this resume is for data analyst.
Okay. So where I'm coming from with what you said, you need to study the job description and then you need to align your resume. You're asking me general impressions I can't give you because you're the one who's looking at the job description. What could possibly help you is if you pull up a job description that you align the resume to, then I can see what you are doing. But just to ask me for general information, Hira and I just looked at it and he's like result after result after result. So you're doing great. So if you're not getting any calls, that could possibly be because you think you're aligning, but you're not. So that's my next thing for you. Do you have a job description that you aligned his
Yeah,
resume to?
Yeah, we can take one of the job description.
Well, okay, hang on. The way that you answered the question, you said one of the job descriptions, okay? What you're being grilled on at this moment is your specificity to a job description and the resume that you created.
Yeah, I don't have right now,
Yeah.
but I need to
So
search
do you
it.
understand where I'm going
yeah, I
and
got
why
it.
I'm not just accepting any job description? Because
Right.
what I'm trying to find out, you came to me, you said you have a problem. The first impression we have on your resume is it's very good, but you're not getting any calls. So the way I'm shifting this is what did the job description say and what is the resume saying so that I can see the skill of superimposing. But just to come to me saying, is this good enough? Well, your results show that it's not good enough.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah, I got it.
So I
can,
need, I guess for your exercise, we'll give you some time. I'll go to somebody else's resume. But if you
sure.
pull up the job description that you tailored a specific resume to, then we can drill down into whether you are giving them what they want.
Got it.
First impression, it looks like it, but your results say you're not giving it to them.
Okay, sure. Give me 5 minutes.
Cool.
Hey Bernie, do you mind if I
I'll be ready with
reschedule?
All right,
I thought I
Hira.
would make it. I thought I would make it through, but I don't think I can.
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said, Ibrahim.
I said, do you mind if I reschedule? I thought I would make it through, but I don't think I can.
Oh, you're sick still. All right, sure,
Yeah.
man. I have a 2 o'clock session this afternoon, and I have an 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Feel free to join either one, same bridge.
Okay, sounds
Hope
good.
you
Thank
feel
you so
better,
much.
man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hira, are you ready to talk about anything that you've worked on from yesterday? Or should we go to Ruthwick? Hira?
Hi, yeah. I could share what I've done since yesterday, the changes that I made.
Beautiful. And then kind of like explain what you're going through and your thought process, that sort of stuff. And then so we can
Yeah.
coach you directly on moving forward. So good. I'm glad you were able to do something. Ruthwick, stand by with the resume you showed me yesterday.
Yes.
Awesome.
Let me just share my screen. Give me a moment. I was still kind of changing out.
Yeah, no worries. I guess that's why I like to have these continuing because I want to answer your questions as the quote unquote problems occur. So this is perfect that you're here. We'll coach you
Mhm.
along with what you have.
Okay. So this is what I had yesterday
Mhm.
that we talked about. And this, I used like an ATS software online to kind of create this because one of my initial ones had like a portfolio in it. I don't know if you've seen that one. But I
You
changed
can
it a little
imagine how
bit.
many resumes I look at, right? So I don't remember it offhand.
Okay, so I was still just editing like the first part.
The summary? Okay, okay. Actually, I'm
yeah.
glad we caught this. So Hira, the summaries that you're seeing in the case studies
Mhm.
didn't just come out because the student said, okay, let me create a beautiful summary. All right. The way that that occurred, and you will see some of this in the work that I will do with Ruthwick shortly, it came to the relevance of the background that they have in the resume. So just to give you a starter feel of it, let's see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 experiences, right?
Mhm.
So question to you, Hira, according to the job descriptions that you've looked at, which of these 5 should be top priority, not necessarily the way you wrote it, but as you know, that experience fits in to the job description that you're looking at. That was a mouthful. Did that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying that I shouldn't necessarily kind of stack them
No,
up.
I'm asking you a question. You have 5 experiences listed that I'm looking at. Which of those 5 is top? Because you know what the job description says, you know what your experience is. The question was specifically for relevance. According to the
Mhm.
job description, what in your background matches that the most? So I see 5 on the screen.
Mhm.
Which one? What's your answer?
Probably the second and third one.
Okay, pick one. So are we going with the second or the third?
I would go second.
Okay,
and
good.
at
So the
top.
next one is obviously the third, right?
Mhm.
And then the first one, the second is what I like to call segment 1. It's the top priority that the seat. And the
Mhm.
third is your segment 2, the next top priority. What's your segment 3?
That's probably gonna be the graduate assistant position. That's at the top right
At the
now.
top. Okay. So did you see how I'm very directed with the questioning that I'm asking you? Because this is the usual problem with resumes. And actually, I didn't ask Shubham if that was the case with him. He and I have gone through a bunch of resume reviews before, so I'm assuming I asked him that question and that he answered it. But when he shows the job description, we will do the same thing that we're talking about. So do you understand what's going on, Hira? The usual problem with the resume is people just list their experiences. And since it's chronological, it does not necessarily fit into the job description relevance.
Mhm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So the whole point of finding out what you want is you have the right idea of having a summary, because the summary is obviously at the top of the resume, right? So what if you arrange the experiences according to segments? Segment 1, top priority. Segment 2, next top priority. Segment 3. So instead of waiting for them to see the chronological listing, you are curating what you know are the most important points. You
Mhm.
put it on a golden platter called the summary, and then you
Mhm.
say, hey, you guys are looking for this. These are all my results from what you want. Call me in for an interview.
Okay.
Is it
Oh,
making
that's helpful.
sense?
Mhm.
So does that make sense with the, so now can you share your screen with the LinkedIn group? We'll come back to this. So if you open up a separate screen
Uh-huh.
for LinkedIn, you go to the index,
Hold on.
and then you go to Ruthwick standby as well, because I'll be doing the same thing with you. Go to hashtag resume.
And that would take me a minute or two.
All right, you do it. Ruthwick, your turn. Ruthwick,
Hi Benny.
hi. You gonna
I'm
share your
gonna
resume?
yeah, just a second. I'm sharing it. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's my resume. Maybe Shubham, even you can give a comment on my resume.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna ask you.
So actually, Bernie, I'm looking for data science, machine learning, and deep learning or AI in the area of AI interns that I'm looking for. And yeah, this is my resume. This is my
Okay,
professional.
go to the LinkedIn group first,
Okay.
because I want to cover some principles before we dive into what you have, so that you understand it when the improvements are pointed out in your resume. So go to the index, go to hashtag resume.
Sorry, can you please repeat it again, Bernie?
Illinois Tech Career Services.
Hmm.
It sounds like you don't use it.
Oh no,
You're
I do
looking
use
for
it, but
you're looking for the groups, not the person. What you're seeing is the person. Click groups.
okay. Groups.
View
Here it is.
posts.
Okay.
Do you know how to find the index?
No.
You just scroll down until you see it and it says index. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. There you go. I see one iteration. LinkedIn
This
doesn't
one.
always show it, so that's why I tell you to keep scrolling, or you could open up any comments.
You know how to hide this one? Actually, I'm unable to hide it.
Yeah, I
This
know
is-
that's a Zoom problem. I don't see what you're seeing, so you could just have to figure it out. I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I don't see it on the
So
screen though. I see it at the bottom now. It says index.
You can just click on the comment section. There is
this
an,
one, right?
yeah, this
Yes.
one.
Okay.
Then you go to resume. We added this web page so that we know what students are clicking on. Go to the at a glance. Click resume.
Where is the resume here? I don't see it. Here, right?
Yep. And now you do a control F, hashtag resume. So you just saved Hira, because this is what I was asking Hira to bring up. Control F, hashtag. Hashtag indicates the title. If you click resume, you notice that there are 27 iterations. When you go to hashtag,
Sorry.
hashtag,
If I press hashtag, it's going to the other tab, I guess. Control
well,
F.
scroll down until you find hashtag resume then.
That's what. Look at that. Here, right?
There you
This one.
go. So you want to click the 9th bullet. It says resume design principles. Hira, stand by. Oh, no, I think for Hira, we were looking for the case studies.
Okay. Is this the one?
All
Or
right.
should I go
Number
for the other
one
one?
says, think like a hiring manager and their job description. Why is that important, Ruthway? This is the discussion that I'm having with Shubham. Why is this very important?
So it's like what actually they are looking for. I
Exactly.
mean, which roles they are looking. I mean,
Well,
for
they're not
which
looking for the
skills they are
roles.
looking. I mean,
They-
which skills they are looking for.
Correct. Which skills, attributes, whatever. I mean, they can say whatever they want because they're the people who are hiring, right? So when Shubham said that he wasn't getting any calls, I'm like, okay, which job description did you tailor this to? Because if you take a look at Shubham's resume, it's great. He's addressing the second part of number one. Ensure that the resume highlights results. And if you take a Shubham's resume, I mean, just from the summary, it's results all over the place. But Shubham said he's not getting any calls. So there's kind of an issue with what Shubham is thinking he's doing. And he's asking me. And I'm like, I'm not the one who's reading the job descriptions. You are. Right. So to ask Bernie, I gave him a first impression. So to drill down further so that we could help Shubham, I'm like, okay, Shubham, where's a job description that you think you tailored it to? And here's the resume. Are you seeing the application of Shubham's problem into your resume, Ruthway?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for you to understand. Tell me the jobs that you were looking for again.
So I'm looking for machine learning, data science, and
Okay,
in
so
the area of
pick-
AI actually.
Pick one. Did you hear yourself? You
Yes,
just said,
yes.
oh yeah, anything will do. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that.
Okay.
The problem is people create a resume and then they think they're covering everything. But in a job market that's very, very competitive, if you put yourself as a generalist, they will call the specialist. I repeat,
Okay.
if you market yourself as a generalist, they will call the specialist. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. So if you're marketing yourself as a specialist, I can do A, I can do B, I can do C, all of these in data science, and then you're giving them A, B, C, D, E, and then they have a resume that's focused on A. Guess who they
Overqualified.
will call?
Overqualified.
It's not even overqualified. You're wasting their time. You're telling them
Exactly.
something they're not
Yeah.
looking for.
Okay.
Is this
So-
making sense, Ruthway?
Yes, Bernie. I would like to mention one thing here. If it's regarding machine learning, these positions, I mean, this will value a lot. I mean, even the research assistant is
I
in
don't
the
think
area
you
of
heard
AI.
what I said.
Okay.
You're trying
So
to
I think-
explain to me machine learning. Are we talking about a machine learning
No,
job
no, it's-
description? Did you just switch the discussion? Are you looking for a machine learning intern?
Yes, machine learning
So
intern.
everything that you just pointed out is good.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Which parts are not machine learning in this resume?
This comes under data science actually. This teaching assistant and stuff.
Are they looking for you to mentor 100 students in the job description?
No.
So
But I mean-
you were thinking it's related, but I'm saying it's not.
Okay.
This is
Perfect.
the issue that I want to find out from Shubham, because again, to your point, you're telling them what they're looking for. And then I ask you very pointedly, are they looking for you to mentor 100 students?
No, no.
And so this is irrelevant information.
But I think they do need in the knowledge of they look in the knowledge of Hadoop, Spark, NoSQL, which is kind of
Then
related
you
to
just
this.
mentioned that part.
I mean, yeah,
Is that something
done
that they
it.
can look at in your skills section?
Okay. So I think this is not required then. Maybe if I mention
Well,
this in the
it's
skills
hang
and
on.
Oh.
It's not required. It's not relevant to the job description. That's why I keep on talking about design principles.
Yeah.
Design principle number 1 said understand what they want with the job description, and number 2 is you talk about your results relative to what they want.
Okay.
Questions about that?
Well, about which part it is? It's about numbers.
What did the design principle number 1 say?
It's about to think like a hiring manager.
Which part? How do you know you're thinking like them?
Uh,
It's right there.
okay, it's like
No, in the
machine
job
learning.
description, you were reading the job design principle. Think like the hiring manager. How do you know you're thinking like them?
It's about like what are the skills that they have mentioned over there,
In the
trying to
job
incorporate the
description.
job description. Yes, the job description.
And then what do you need to do? You need to highlight what? Your results or task descriptions?
Maybe both, I guess. Maybe
No,
even.
no, no. You need to highlight your results because everybody is highlighting their task descriptions.
I have a question.
Please.
So essentially what you're saying is that we change our resume according to every single job that we're applying for. Is that?
Heck, yes.
Mhm.
That sounds like a daunting task. And here's a recommendation for that, Hira. It is daunting, but in a very tight job market, that is the only choice.
Right.
Okay, so here's a suggestion for you, Hira. Create what's called a master resume. Actually, I like to call it a master repository.
Mhm.
So all the versions of your bullets that you wrote, kind of like Ruthwick, he's like, oh, this is good for machine learning. And then he's going to have good bullets for other types of specialties. So have one location where you can list everything so that as you're tailoring, so Hira goes like, oh, they want this, not a problem. There you go. Oh, they want this, not a problem. There you go.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but isn't it a little reductive to kind of remove some of the things you know or that you're experienced in?
I said relevant. Remember when he said something earlier where I forgot the term that he used, but he was indicating that it wasn't useful. And I said, no, it's not useful. It's not relevant.
Mhm.
Do you see the
Okay.
difference?
Yeah.
It could be useful and probably very important to some other job description, but for this one, it's not. So do you see this whole discussion that we've had so far is about relevance. And that's actually how we started this discussion with Shubham. Because if you first look at Shubham's resume, it's very impressive. If he's saying he's not getting calls, I'm concerned about relevance.
Mm.
You guys understanding this?
Yeah.
Very good question, Hira. Other questions, Ruthwick? Otherwise, I want to see, it looks like Shubham, you want to give Ruthwick some first blush comments before we go back to you? Shubham, Ruthwick wanted your comments, so
So
we
he
wanna
put
tap into your wisdom, Shubham, because you've worked with me.
so he put
Hmm.
like some. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
good.
you're
You're
right.
good. You're good.
So I put like 4 projects I can see,
Yes.
but I can't see like any specific skills have been used in that particular project. So you can make a section in front of the project name.
Okay.
So you can put the skills. You can see my resume. I think it will
Wow.
be then very clear, like in that project, what is the particular skill has been used.
Okay.
So they might focus on it. And then Machine learning intern. You can put career objective. I think it will clear that what's your focus or
But if I put career objective, it's like
particular
taking
job
more space.
description, and the kind of summary, how you can relate to their
Yeah.
job description.
Can you
Actually,
hang on 1 second, Ruthvik?
Okay.
Shubham, give you a suggestion to be relevant and listen to your reasoning. You said, yeah, there's not enough space.
Yeah. So talking
No,
about
hang on. Let me
Yeah.
digest that with Ruthvik because I want to make sure he got it. Ruthvik, did you hear your explanation?
Toast sandwich.
Shubham gave you a suggestion to be relevant. And then your response was, there's no room.
Yeah.
That's not a good response, man.
Okay. I mean,
If you want to get
I don't know.
hired,
Okay.
I would worry about space when you're relevant. The problem is, sure, you have something that's 1 page or 2 page or whatever, but if you're not relevant in the stuff that you're talking about, what's the point?
Okay. But it's like optional thing, right? Putting a
It's not
career objective.
optional, okay? So actually, let's go back to Shubham, and maybe Hira will get some of this as well. Did you find the job description, Shubham?
Yeah, I found
All
it.
right, cool.
Can I share my screen?
If Ruthvik will let you.
Just a second.
So here's the exercise, Shubham. I want you to point what in the job description is what you're addressing in the resume. You see what I
Sure.
mean? So you're kind of walking us through how you tailored it. So Hira, this is what we were talking about earlier with relevance, okay? So I love this exercise because Shubham has in front of him.
So this is the dashboard, like the position named as BI dashboard analyst. It's in Ohio, and there is specific responsibilities what they want. Basically not want, but that we'll be going to do in that position.
Yeah. So
And the
walk us through the
requirement.
specifics. Don't give us overview because we're diving into the specifics. How did
Okay.
you tailor your resume to what we're
So
looking at?
most of the work I have seen, they need reports us into like the most of the Power BI work, which
Mhm.
they mentioned
Mhm.
twice in the requirement also.
Mhm.
So I have a few projects.
Let's see it. I want you to go back and forth.
Yeah.
So
can
because you highlighted that first, would you say that that's the top requirement?
Yeah.
So let me see your, let's see your objective. I see no mention of Power BI, man.
Specifically, I haven't mentioned the Power BI, but like I mentioned the
Okay, hang on. Okay, when you went to the job description, you said that was like top priority. So I take a look at your resume, I go to the very top, and if you said it truly is the top priority, you didn't mention it. Are you guys seeing a disjoint? Hira and Ruthvik?
Yes, Bernie.
Okay, but I'm obviously speaking to Shubham on the spot, and maybe he's making decisions. Was that correct? And that is a top priority for that job description? Shubham,
Sorry.
is that the top priority? Power BI?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look at 1 to 3 years requirements. It's like at the top of it, and then in the actual description, so query in Power BI. We found one thing out. How could you mention Power BI in your objective?
I can give my results and accomplishments of this
Which part?
project.
Point where those results and accomplishments in Power BI is.
This project detail analytics.
Okay, let's go back to your objective, the way that you currently have it. Which one did you call out? 85% efficiency and 60% growth? No, 85% efficiency was the first one. Show me that in your resume. Where is it further below?
This is my work experience scale.
So thank you for the opportunity for pointing this out, Shubham. But did you see what we just have? Which bullet was the Power BI again? It was in the retail analytics.
Yeah.
Right? But the first thing you called out on top of your resume was programmer analyst.
Yeah, right.
Are you kind of seeing the issue here of addressing what they're looking for?
Right.
What did you learn, Shubham? And then I want to hear what Hira learned and what Ruthwick learned being an observer.
So whatever the top priority from the job description it is, it should be at the top of your resume so that whenever recruiters see at the first look, so he will get like this is something he have, and then he go deep into the resume.
Very good, Shubham. So Hira, remember when I was describing it earlier? The whole point of an objective is that you have the ability to tailor what you have, your strengths, to what they want. What you guys just notice out here when we drilled down with Shubham is he showed us a job description, and I asked Shubham, I'm like, is this Power BI top priority according to this job description? And he said yes. I repeatedly asked him. And if you took a look at his resume, the first bullet that he shared in the career objective was not in his Power BI strengths. He was highlighting the programmer analyst. Questions? He ran Ruthwick. Was that clear? Otherwise, I'm going to keep Shubham going.
Yeah, that's clear.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Penny.
Shubham, what would you do? What else do we need to look at? So I think we kind of found the problem, Shubham. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, like the other things I have mentioned, like they can see my experience in this kind of technologies in the my job experience and the projects
So
which can match the area of field, basically data analytics.
yes, actually, Shubham, you're 95% of the way there. With this little tweak that I'm talking to you about,
Mhm.
you'll become more powerful because you already called
Yeah,
out the
but-
quantifiable. So you're just not telling them what they're looking at. So here's the thing, Hira and Ruthwick, part of the issue, I mean, if we assume that all the hiring managers read the entire thing, like Shubham's, right? If they read the entire thing, that they would kind of say, oh, yep, he's relevant. Oh, he's relevant. That's kind of a problem, though, because design principle number 2 said that they are very busy. Okay. So if they're very busy and then they went to the part of your resume that's not what they're looking for, remember when they say hiring managers only look at your resume for 6-7 seconds or however short that is?
Mhm.
You have to take that all into consideration. Otherwise, you get results like Shubham said. And just like we're looking at this, it's quite good to begin with. So Shubham just needs a little tweak. And then he becomes more relevant by actually studying what they want and then highlighting that.
Got it.
Ruthwick, did that resonate with our discussion of your machine language parts of your resume?
Can you
Questions,
repeat
anybody?
it again?
Did that make sense? Did the discussion
yeah.
with Shubham make sense to you? Because you need to
Yeah,
do
it
the same
is.
thing on your resume.
Yes, it is.
Questions?
I wanted to ask one question.
Go.
It's just a normal question. It's like, do I need to remove this extracurricular? and
I
keep
was
it
about
like
to ask you that when you kind of slowed down there. So talk to me some more. I want to hear your thinking, Shubham. I think you kind of know the answer I'm going to give you, but I want to hear how Shubham is thinking.
So what my perspective to put the extracurricular is that this is something beyond my curriculum, college curriculum. I'm doing
Mhm.
my personal projects.
Mhm.
So this is showing that extracurricular, but I don't know.
Well, you don't even have to call it extracurricular because based on what we know and based on the exercise in the last few minutes, it could be extracurricular, but it is the most relevant to that job description that you're looking at,
Yeah,
right? So to your point of should you get rid of extracurricular, maybe get rid of the word extracurricular and keep the word projects, because in this specific instance, that's the background that was most relevant for Shubham for that job description.
right.
So the answer to your question, actually, when there were two things that I was thinking of when you were asking the question. I saw the word extracurricular, and then I was like, of course, absolutely dump it. And then I saw you had Power BI under extracurricular. I'm like, no, 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 don't dump it, because that's his most relevant experience.
Right. Got
Do you
it.
see where we're going? I would get rid of the word extracurricular. Just call it projects. Because in that particular job description, that was your golden nugget.
Yeah, sure.
Was there a second part to that question?
One more thing I wanted to ask, like sometimes it happens that actually I have 2, 3 internships. So if I put those in this, it will take space. It will go beyond page.
Okay,
Uh,
here's the question to you.
Sometimes I think
Hang
that
on, hang on,
sorry,
hang on. I know where you're going with this. Here's the question. Which part of it is relevant?
let's suppose everything is irrelevant.
Well, that's a problem.
Okay.
Because if everything is relevant, then it's not, by definition.
Okay. Because it happens sometimes there is position, let's suppose called as
Well, where I
intern.
hear this discussion going is, again, you're trying to be generalist because you
Yeah.
want to cover multiple job
Okay.
descriptions with this one resume, is where I hear you going with this discussion. Exactly what Ruth Week said. Because you guys want to save time, but think about it, Shubham. Which one is time wasted? Tailoring your resume or all this time where you're not getting any calls? Which one is a waste of time?
It's randomly applying every job and wasting time. Got it. I think, yeah.
Because
Got
I
it.
understand. I mean, I know you guys are very busy students. So part of your strategy is to save time by being generalist. That's what we were talking about, Ruthway. But as you know, don't go Shubham's path, because on first look, Shubham's resume looks impressive. But what I'm getting, the more I talk to Shubham, is he's kind of being generalist with the stuff that he's putting down. And that's why he's not getting calls, because he's not taking the time to curate it to be relevant to what they're looking for. Questions, Ruthwik and Hira? Unless you have any more, Shubham.
No, I'm done.
What's your next step, Shubham?
So yeah, I'll see the priorities in the job description and it should be on the top of flow.
It should be
And
on top, yes. And
top
then I
of
still notice you have a bunch of bullets, right? And then I ask you the question and I said, are they all relevant? And you're like, yes, they're all relevant. Careful with that,
yeah,
okay? Careful with that, because if you're saying all is relevant, then it's not.
right.
Relevant means it's related to what they're looking for. If you put everything, it's kind of the discussion on generalists that we had with Ruthwick. Any more? I got 20 more minutes. Who am I going to, Ruthwick or Hira? Unless you got what you need out of the discussion with Shubham. That's why we like to have these group discussions, because usually when I have one-on-one, people are embedded into their issues. So you saw some of that with Ruthwick right now, okay? The hope when we have a group discussion like this is you see the same issue in your resume when I'm talking to somebody else about the same exact issue. So did that
Yes.
occur for you, Ruthwick, while we were discussing it with Shubham?
Yeah, it occurred.
Okay.
Yeah, not that much for me, I guess.
Hira, so your turn.
Yeah. Can we do,
Yours.
yeah, can we look at like no, let me share my screen. I found one position while we were talking to kind of go over it.
And you're going to give Shubham practice, and Ruthwick can be an observer and participate. So thank you, Hira, for finding that job description.
Okay, so I changed some of like the experience, like you mentioned, put 2 on top. The most relevant ones,
Actually, hang on,
those
hang on.
jobs that I'm applying
Actually, you can't modify the arrangement because it's according to a resume, whenever
Mhm.
you list down experiences, it's always the most recent to the least recent. So you cannot just go changing it by relevance.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
that's why the summary is the solution to that.
Okay. So I should put it in the summary instead of changing this.
Well, kind of like Shubham. Remember the discussion that we went with Shubham?
Uh-huh.
So Shubham, I was asking, we kind of like looked at his experiences, and then his top one, which was Power BI, happened to be in his projects. So now, if Shubham just waited for them to read through what he had chronologically, they will not see his strength immediately. So that's why we said, okay, well, why didn't you mention it in his objective? That's the same thing that we're talking about for you.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, okay. So I
Questions?
think I think I already mentioned to do that in the summary.
Well, the summary is actually the last, because the summary comes from your beautiful bullets, and I'm looking at your bullets right now. They're not beautiful at all. Shubham, on the other hand, did beautiful bullets. He was talking about results in all his bullets. That's what you need to do, Hira. Okay, we need to convert these bullets, because the way you described it, it's very blah. It's just describing. Okay, so let's pick your top one, which you said was, okay, you rearranged this, so I'm confused now. Which one is your segment one?
Let me just pull this one up, the old
Yeah.
one.
Just tell me the segment one. I don't even need to see it. I'm just going to get to drill down into it. Which one is it?
This guy.
I can't see it. It's kind of like smaller. Executive architect?
Yeah.
Okay, so your bullet said architectural design, interior design. Okay, it's very dry. Planning design. It's not talking about, did you see Shubham's bullets? He was kind of like talking about the results and accomplishments. So let's give you a taste of that, Hira, with your executive architect position. And Ruthwick, you need to do the same thing for your bullets, okay? So this is how it goes. So Shubham, Ruthwick, and I will be listening from what did Hira accomplish. And then meanwhile, Hira, just dump on us what you did for this executive architect job. And then I'll be interrupting you, kind of probing into some of the things that you're saying. Are the instructions clear?
Yeah.
Okay, please go.
Okay, so for this job, I was an in-house designer. We did projects.
We, as in who is we?
Me and my team.
How many people
There
in
was
your
just-
team?
There were 3 people on the team.
Were you
that
working independently or collaboratively?
Collaboratively.
Okay, so you collaborated on a team of 4. Did you catch that? That's
Yeah.
one of the things that need to show up in the resume. So usually when you have a team, Hira, somebody leads part A, somebody leads part B. Was there any such thing in this collaboration?
No, I think we were kind of doing. Interesting question. I've never been asked.
Well, that's why I'm trying to bringing this up, because if you led a certain portion of this team project, you need to highlight it. Collaborated on a team of 4, led X part. Are you seeing how I'm not giving them dry information?
Yeah.
Questions about what the process that we did so far? Are you understanding how I'm digging into it so that we can highlight Hira's accomplishments?
Yeah.
Is it Hira?
Yeah.
Okay. Ruthwick, are there any questions about what Hira's doing?
No.
Okay. And Hira, you barely scratched the surface,
Yeah.
right? Keep going, please.
Okay. So I was mostly like the lead on design, and then
You need to talk about all of that. So good.
Uh-huh.
You were lead on design. What else?
yeah, and then we also finalized the materials, went into the market, got like all of these costs were
Okay,
for-
hang on. This is all juicy stuff. Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, so we were just finalizing materials and vendors
How
and
many materials?
pretty much all of the construction materials that
All
we're
doesn't
doing.
tell me anything. You need to paint the picture so that when I pick up your resume, I'm like, dang, she's accomplished.
Right.
Are you getting this? Did you notice how you just said it? Oh yeah, all of this. Because it's your experience, I can understand how it's like easy to say that. But your task in a resume is to paint this picture such that they look at you as the person they're looking for, Because not only did you do it, you have results in what they want you to do.
Mhm.
Making sense?
Yeah.
Questions?
I feel like it's just a lot to add because we basically were doing projects that were turnkey. So we
Okay.
were designing them and
You're doing the same thing Ruthwick said earlier. I don't want to add an objective because I won't have enough room.
Uh-huh.
Is that a good enough reason to not put it in
I guess not.
a very competitive market? Do you guys see all your reasoning? That's why I like to have group sessions, because now Shubham is listening. Now Ruthwick is listening, but they kind of like have the same issues with their resume.
Right.
So are you still convinced that you need to keep it this dry, Hira?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are
I
you going to
guess
keep
it's
it this dry?
No, of course not.
You need to dig in, right? Because you had a lot of juicy stuff.
Mhm.
Do you understand the process, or do we need to continue?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go over it. And then also one more thing, I want to share like a job description that I pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
One of the jobs that I'm kind of applying to.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you think is their top requirement?
I feel like for the requirements I
No,
do.
their top. What do you think is their biggest thing that they want? Because sometimes it could be misleading. One would assume that it's at the top of whatever they write down. And then
Mhm.
sometimes something could be at the bottom, but they mention it so many times. So, the placement in their job description, the frequency at which they say things, those are all clues
Mhm.
as to what they're looking for. So in your assessment, because this is your background as an architect, right?
Mhm.
What do you think their top thing that they're looking for? Remember when Shubham talked about Power BI? Shubham kind of like honed in on that. He's like, this is the top requirement. What is it for this job description for you, Hira? What are they looking for?
Mhm. Honestly, I'm not able to figure out because there's mentioned so many things.
So when you don't know, you have to just shoot for it and then kind of use what I said earlier. If it's at the top, I guess it must be higher priority.
Mhm.
If they mentioned it repeatedly, I guess that's something that they're looking for. Right?
Okay.
And that's kind of the issue that job seekers have to contend with. Because to your point, they mentioned a lot, but you have to figure it out. So between you taking a look at the first portion and then the second where it says you should have, it sounds like these are non-negotiables to them.
Mhm.
Okay. So in your quick assessment, obviously you're going to spend more time on this, but in your quick assessment, pick one that you think is their top priority and then point to me what in your background matches that. Kind of like the exercise we just did with Shubham.
Okay.
No, I want you to do it now.
Oh.
Just guess for now, but I want you to go through the exercise so you understand the process.
Right.
Let's go with the first bullet, for example. Let's just assume, okay, because you're going to study this further, okay? Let's just assume that the first bullet is their top priority, okay? So you said provide assistance throughout the design process under routine guidance, contribute to the overall success of the team adhering. This sounds like something that you just described earlier in that top priority project, your segment 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So now the exercise that Shubham went, when you start creating that objective at the top of the resume, you need to be talking about that first. Remember how Shubham had the issue where the first results that he was calling out were in an unrelated job. Questions? No questions? You have enough information to proceed and
Yeah, I
continue
think
your
I'm
work,
gonna
Hira?
change stuff.
Ruthwick, questions?
Mm-hmm.
Is this helping?
Yes.
We got 7 more minutes, guys. If you got what you need so that you could proceed for whichever step you are. I know what Shubham's next step is. Hira, what's your next step? I can assume what your next step, but when I hear it from you, and then I want to hear from Ruthwick what his next steps are.
Yeah, I guess just gonna change what I've written under my experience, kind of describe it more.
Okay. I'm going to qualify that. It's not a matter of just describing it more, because Ruthwick had a bunch of descriptions, but they were not relevant.
Yeah, relevant.
Okay.
description.
relevant to the job
Yeah.
description. Okay. If you guys notice, I'm very in tune to what you're saying because when you say it, it's not what you're thinking. So if you notice, I'm drilling it in.
Mhm.
Relevance, relevance, relevance. Right, Hira?
Yeah.
And then based on your beautiful bullets, according to your segment 1, top priority, segment 2, the next top priority, you're now going to grab those bullets, put it on top of the resume, massage it a little. And that's when you take a look at the case studies in hashtag resume. That's what you take a look at in the other recordings. That's kind of the framework of what you're being taught. You massage it a little so that it looks like a summary that makes you immediately relevant to the job description. Clear, Hira?
Yeah.
Questions?
Questions?
No questions? I'm going to go to Ruthwick if you have no questions.
Yeah.
Ruthwick, what's your next steps?
So I think I have to put more, I mean, jobs that are more relevant to the given description. So I think I have to remove this. If I'm going for data science roles, I mean, the Hadoop on those things that I mentioned is relevant. But when I apply for machine learning and that stuff, it's not that relevant. So I think I have to adjust that. And also, I don't know about this importance, like whether do we have to have a career objective, because everything is that covered in career objective
Okay,
is
let's cover
actually
that
already
really quick.
down
Let
there.
me see your resume.
Yeah.
I will answer that question immediately, specifically for Ruthwick. And just to clarify, not everybody needs a summary / objective, and we will find that out now if Ruthwick needs it. So
Okay.
think of one job description, Ruthwick. What
Yeah,
is it?
Here it is. Here it is.
Answer my question. I asked you a question and you said, here
Yeah,
it is.
that's machine
So
learning.
what's the
Yeah.
job title? Machine learning
It's-
intern.
Yes.
Okay, back to your resume.
Mm-hmm. Just a second. Just a second, Ben.
So according to machine learning intern, you have experience, you have graduate teaching assistant, research, 3, 4, keep going. 5,
These three, those are
keep going.
relevant.
I'm taking a look at experience and projects because I consider projects part of it. You guys notice Shubham had a project that was most relevant. So when we say experience, I consider work experience and project. So aside from the 4, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 projects. So Ruthwick has a total of 8 experiences, right?
Yes.
So which one is the top experience for Ruthwick for that job description?
I can say this one, which I've worked with.
Okay, machine learning intern. Okay, that's your
Yes.
segment 1. What's your segment 2?
And this one
Okay, that's your
is
segment
computer
2.
vision
What's your
intern.
segment 3?
So everything here is ML
Everything
projects.
is not good
Yeah.
enough. Have you heard anything we discussed on this call?
Yes, I've
Pick
heard.
one.
But if we go to most relevant, then I'll say this one, first one.
Okay, image. Did you notice how you're all over the place, Ruthwick?
Mhm.
So your expectation without a summary is that you're expecting them to read the whole thing, and then the very busy hiring manager is gonna go, oh, top. Okay, he's relevant. Oh, he's relevant. They're not gonna do that, dude.
But most of them goes through ATS, right? Maybe ATS can capture
Good luck.
some of the. I don't know. I might need these suggestions actually. Yeah. So maybe putting a
Okay,
object
what we
career
didn't
might help, I
discuss
guess.
in the design principles, number 4 says, any advice, okay,
Mhm.
because there's so much advice there about job search,
Mhm.
including advice from Bernie Floresca. It's your call because this is your job search. Okay, I'm not going to
Yes,
force
yes,
you to do
I got it.
anything.
Yeah, I got it. I'm here to take the feedback actually.
Okay, but this is our first meeting, so I can understand the resistance to some of these concepts. Okay, so what did you just hear? What do you need to do? By the way, Shubham and Hira, if you need to go, feel free to go. I guess I want to complete this with Ruthwick.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I had a question though relevant to me. I don't
If it's
So
quick,
should I go ahead now?
if it's
yeah,
quick,
go ahead.
Yeah. So, essentially, I was wondering that we don't really, for architectural designers, we don't really only have resumes, we also have
You have the
portfolios.
portfolio, yes.
Yeah. So, is there like separate sessions that you might have for
I'm
portfolios?
talking to Dean Reed about that.
Mhm.
But you are best to go directly to the college to
Mhm.
find that out. We kind of cover the resumes, and he and I, you're kind of waiting for me to give that to you. And obviously, we focus on this, not the portfolio.
Okay.
So
That
I guess
sounds
you may
good.
want to talk to Reed.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. Shubham, final question before you leave. I want to spend the last. Actually, I need to go as well.
No, thank you for your
All right,
time. I
Shubham,
think
thank
I
you.
got
So
the many points.
Ruthoi,
Yes, Bernie.
so which one again is your top priority?
So the top priority is to remove the irrelevant
No,
part here.
Show me your segment 1.
Segment 1, I mean this one. My
Okay,
segment
and
1
then
is
segment
this one.
2,
Segment 2 here, this one.
and then segment 3.
Segment 3, this project. I think I
Okay.
have to elaborate more on it.
Correct. I think you learned from some of the discussions that we had earlier,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yes.
what you're doing now is that's the suggestion that you could put it on the summary. Did
Okay.
you remember the discussions with Shubham and Hira?
Yes.
So do you understand what you need